Down to 5 on the shot clock.
It's crazy block there. Holy shit. But I'm gonna run a couple handoffs so we can examine these handoffs in 2K.
Westbrook kicks to Cantor.
Chill, everybody chill.
Passes it to
Like,
Durant.
you see that? You see that? Handoffs are supposed to be another variation of a pick and roll almost. You know, the handoff man is supposed to act sort of like a pick man. Alright. Cantor has the ball here. Dwight is all over him. I go for the handoff, and KD takes the handoff in front of Cantor. This is ludicrous. Like, that's not the way that's supposed to happen. You know, handoffs work like this about 40% of the time. You know, 60% of the time you're going to get a decent handoff, but a lot of the time, like too often, this happens. Stuff like this happens. You know, that's ugly. That's really ugly. And it happens a lot, especially online. You know, online, this is just a different game than offline. You know, online, you're gonna see these issues a lot more. But you know, it's something they can work on. See if I can get some more.
Waiters with the ball.
It's not a bad handoff there.
Westbrook dishes to Cantor.
Go to KD. It's not a bad handoff.
Outside Durant.
Come here, Russ. It's also not a bad handoff. You know, it works. It's not bad. But you still get these situations where, you know, players hand off the ball in front of them instead of, you know, using their body as a shield and, you know, handing the ball off like they should. Which is, you know, something they can work on. Look at Dwight looking like Orlando Magic Dwight out here. But yeah, handoffs are another issue that they can work on.
They are having their way down low.
Durant kicks to
Nice little double team there. Come here, Russ.
Adams against Howard. Here's Westbrook.
That was a weird play. It's like a handoff lead pass, it kind of felt like. Not really. But, you know. Yeah, that happens. Not mad at that. It's still a video game, but.
Gets with the rebound.
You know, it's something they could touch on. You know, I know this is like their first year implementing it, so I'm not mad at it, but.
Here's Harden on the wing.
Here's another thing I would like to talk about. I want to talk about the lead pass. Alright. I'm going to do 5 lead passes through traffic, manual cuts, see how successful they are.
Well, for James Harden, with his incredible regular season last year, Clark, you knew he was in for a great postseason as well.
That actually wasn't a bad play, so I'm not going to count that one. But the lead pass defense in 2K is another weakness. I think that's a legacy issue, more so than anything. The way you can actually pass the ball through the defense. You know, the defense reacts to the ball and everything. And passes that should be tipped or stolen, you know, just go through their hands or right past their fingertips every time the ball zips past. The offense gets a speed boost and all that through traffic, you know. And it's just something that's been in 2K for as long as I remember. I remember playing on 2K6 and there was a lead pass button where you could just hit circle and the player would just literally. See that? He caught the ball. If he had better hands, he would have finished that, you know? But it's like the defenders just cannot defend that pass. I know the manual cut is a good basketball play if you're being denied on the perimeter, you know? But look, James Harden is actually gapping here on Anthony Morrow. He's gapping him, and I was still able to hit manual cut. Like, you see this? I think I know what it is. James Harden is actually in position to steal this ball. But because of the animation, the lead pass manual cut animations, he kind of gets bumped slightly. You see that little bump he takes? It kind of knocks him out of position to where he can't steal the ball. Not to mention that it kind of clips through him a little bit. It's like the animation, that catch animation right there off the manual cut has to play out. It has to play out. So he's unaffected by James Harden. James Harden can't steal the ball. And the pass gets through. And this happens a whole, like, people also eat off that. We've had issues with it in my sim league. You know what I'm saying? Let's find another example. KD's being gapped. Manual cut. Okay, that one was tipped. All right. It's good defense. That's the way it should be. When you're manual cutting through traffic, you know, that pass should be stolen 100% of the time. You know, should be.
Boy, they've really amped up the pressure at the defensive end, guys, and have piled up
KD.
the steals in the early going.
And the other thing,
it's like James Harden forgot KD was his man while he was guarding him. Like, he actually is guarding him and then, like, runs away. Like, what's going on? I know it's James Harden minus the D, but, like, come on. You don't just leave your man. And I think it was because the cut was initiated. And James Harden, you know, is, you know, he's making his move to defend him, but, like, once again, the engine, I think the engine's outdated. It's like the player movement just isn't there, you know what I mean? Like, he knows what to do. He's reacting to the play, but it's like he can't get to where he's being told to go. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, the player movement is just outdated. Simply put, like,
they've run the shooters off their sweet spots. They've really closed out.
Like, I feel like they said this new gen engine was a brand new engine. They rebuilt the whole engine from the ground up, but it still has a lot of the same issues we were seeing, you know, on PS3 or Xbox 360. You know, it's just, I don't know. I just really think the engine's outdated. But I'm gonna continue on this manual cut journey. See how many I can get to go through, so I can show you a really, really good example. Kyle Singler being gapped, manual cut, tipped, not bad.
That just leave you in a dizzy.
Lawson drives in. It's good.
Ty Lawson hitting, you know, shots like he's actually sober out there.
Well, they've gone on this run, and ball movement has been a big key.
I'm a huge fan of Ty Lawson, man. I'm a Carolina Tar Heel fan, so I'm kind of biased. Okay, now they want to steal these manual cut passes. Now they want to steal these manual cut passes, but I'm trying to actually show why it didn't work. We'll find a really good example, though. I'm determined. Wow, Ty Lawson ripped the shit out of me there.
And that concludes.
Josh, you guys seemed intent on getting.
I'm gonna try this on a different camera angle so I can see if I can play the angles that people play on.
It's the
2K
2K Sports Halftime Show.
I'm gonna find you a really good example. Then I'm gonna hop over to NBA Live and I'm gonna show you a lot of the neat stuff over there and why Sim Nation is actually
Houston found themselves
be playing the NBA Live demo.
In the first. They never trailed by more than 3 points, and it was neck and neck the entire period. That wraps it up for halftime as the game is just about to get going again.
I like the halftime show, even though I never watch it. It's a really nice idea, you know. I think 2K did a really good job with that. The variety of stuff you see in there is pretty astonishing. I want to see him get that TNT license since they're bringing in all these TNT people. But I know that's a stretch. 2K's still a relatively small studio, so them licenses don't come easy, man, at all.
The rugged duo of Ibaka and Adams in the middle.
Slow it up a little bit here, see if I can get a good example of the manual pass.
Dishes it to Westbrook. Screened by Ibaka.
Like that. Is kind of a good example. kind of not a good example because that's not really a bad pass, but I still feel like that's not a pass that would get through in real life, honestly. Personally.
He'll go to the line with a chance to make it 3.
But people eat off that, you
He has to
know.
show a little more fight on the interior than they did on that trip. They've got a battle inside.
This game has been a battle, and maybe they're starting to just run out of gas a little bit.
Another purposeless screen. KD jumping passing lanes. I like it.
Harden against Durant. Ibaka outside.
It's being gapped. I don't know what that was. See if I can see some pick and roll. No pocket, of course.
Shot clock at 6.
Manual cut. That's a really good example right there. It's a really good example. This is a terrible pass. This is a low IQ pass that I was rewarded for. Send Dion Waiters on a manual cut, a terrible pass. This is what happens online a lot. All right. Trevor Ariza cannot steal that ball. And it's because Dion Waiters, when you send him on a manual cut and that lead pass, you throw that lead pass, the catch animation on the lead pass can't be interrupted. So he slides Trevor out of the way. Trevor's going to steal this ball. But because of the flaws in the engine and the lack of, physics, he slides him right out of the way. I catch the ball. Clint Capella almost pins the shit out of that while going through the rim. But I get a bucket off that. And that's the type of buckets people eat off of. This is not, that's not smart basketball at all. But,
with the size difference there,
it works. And that type of play, that type of pass has worked in 2K for as long as I remember, since PS2 days. 2K6 on PS2, I specifically remember this pass getting through all the time. More than it should.
And he came off that
and that's an issue that I'd like to see addressed. That might be my #1 issue with the game.
They're in time enough to challenge Greg, and when that's the case, you can mark those up for him.
Like, you see that? Not being denied. All right, there's space, but I still send him on a manual cut. Throw this ball. Pat Beverly just cannot steal it. He can't steal it. Like, why? That's a horrible pass. A horrible pass. But Pat Beverly just can't. He can't steal it. And this is what happens about 40% of the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's way too successful to throw that pass. It's like Pat just cannot, he can't react to that ball. And then I get through, and Russ gets a dunk. Like, I can't reward people for plays like that. And that might be my biggest issue with 2K at this point. The manual pass, like manual. I mean, it's a good idea in theory, but you've already built a new feature into your engine where players with the tendency to cut, off ball when being denied are going to cut on their own anyway. Like, if they're denying KD right now on the perimeter, KD would cut to the basket on his own. There's no need for a manual cut button. You know what I mean? There's no need for it. It's like overkill to put the manual pass in there when players already do it on their own. Y'all did a pretty good job of implementing that feature into the game when players being denied. The AI is smart enough to say, oh, hey, let me go back door. That's smart. But to add a manual cut button in there is overkill, especially when it works the way it works. That wasn't a bad one right there. That wasn't really a bad one because it looked like Jason Terry kind of overplayed the pass. Yeah, so I sent him back door. That's not a bad play. See, sometimes it works beautifully. Other times it's just it's ugly, And once again, I think that's been a legacy issue in 2K for a while now. See the pick and roll here.